PJ Fleck era is underway at Minnesota. The Gophers with a win over Buffalo. Not overwhelming, but it's a W in the book as the team heads toward Oregon State in the Pac-12 for game number 2. We bring in Ryan Burns from Gopher Illustrated to help us sort out the Gophers and the Beavers. How you doing today, Ryan?
I'm doing well, Mark. Hope things are going well for you as well.
I'm doing just fine, and I see that I'm matching your Gopher. Is it maroon and gold?
It is. We are very color coordinated today. I like to see that on a Friday.
Which I should have been able to predict from you, but yeah, I'm good whether I'm talking Minnesota, Alabama, Stanford, go on down the line, USC, Minnesota. All right, so this Buffalo effort, I got to see much of the first half, a struggle on offense. We talked about the quarterback situation minus Mitch Leidner and 2 quarterbacks in play. Your assessment of both quarterbacks, what they bring to the table, and if you were surprised by either's production in game 1.
I thought it was a mixed bag. You look at the first quarter specifically, both quarterbacks are able to lead touchdown drives in 2 different ways. Connor Rhoda is able to hit Tyler Johnson on a post for 61 yards. Tyler does most of the work, gets a lot of yak. Turns on the Jets and gets a 61-yard touchdown. That would have been the second longest pass play for Minnesota last season. Rashad still had a 62-yarder in 2016, so Minnesota's passing offense even off to a little bit better start there. Then you look at what Demery Croft was able to do. I believe it was a 10-play touchdown drive. No big plays, but just efficient through the air and on the ground. And so after the first quarter anyway, that's where things got a little bit more interesting. Things didn't really go as well. Minnesota has a red zone interception on what PJ Fleck called a catastrophic mistake from Connor Rhoda on a very poorly thrown ball on a fade route to Brandon Lingen. He short-armed it. He didn't have any loft on the ball. Things just didn't go well there. Then Minnesota also missed 2 field goals. So when you look at both quarterbacks specifically, let's start with the starter in Connor Rhoda. I thought that the passing game looked pretty good with him, 11 of 22. Somewhere around 160, 170 yards passing. And what Connor was able to do was he was able to find Tyler Johnson early often, and he was able to really exploit what Minnesota wanted to do there, and that was feed Tyler Johnson. 6 catches, 141 yards, all in the first half, and a majority of that was with Connor Rhoda. The issue with Rhoda was Minnesota runs a run-pass option offense, and if the quarterback isn't willing to run and read option, which Connor didn't, he didn't run a single time. You saw what happened in the second half, which was the Buffalo defensive ends and the edge players for the Bulls just crashed down on the running backs, and the running game didn't go anywhere, so the offense didn't go anywhere. And then when you look at Demery Croft, the running game was significantly better with him, 1.5 yards better, especially with the running backs. He kept it 6 times for 32 yards. Now, the passing game with Demery didn't get going as well, but I think Tyler Johnson, if he's able to reel in 2 deep balls, which I thought were pretty accurately thrown, the stats look a little bit different. But either way, neither one of the quarterbacks really pulled away from one another against Buffalo, so you're going to see a heavy dose of them again this weekend against Oregon State.
Well, since Rhoda's not heralded as a great passing quarterback, and Croft obviously can be a dynamic playmaker with his legs and probably maybe not as good a passer as Rhoda, but in the ballpark, wouldn't that seem to be long-term to be the guy, meaning Croft?
That's what I thought. That's what I've been harping on at Gopher Illustrated, on the interwebs, on everywhere throughout the radio wave as well. I think Demery Croft should be the guy, but he's got to earn it, because I think that Demery has more potential in the running game, and I think he has more potential in the passing game. Connor Rhoda proved to be accurate, but again, that one lone catastrophic mistake is something that we were able to see consistently throughout fall camp. Was Connor would be rolling. He'd have 5 straight completions, and then he'd make one poor decision, which you can't have from a 5th-year senior, especially in an offense where PJ Fleck and offensive coordinator Kirk Shiraka say the ball is the program. There's a reason they were so successful at Western Michigan last season, 13-0 regular season, and the number one reason would be because they were the number 1 team in the country in the take-give. They never turned the ball over on offense, and they took it away plenty on defense. So if your quarterback's going to be doing that consistently, which in practice he had shown he was going to do, and then he made that one lone mistake against Buffalo, if that happens again against Oregon State, you'd have to think that the 50-50 split, which was very even between the quarterbacks, would kind of shade more towards Demery Croft. But in that same respect, PJ talked about during the week how Demery left a lot of meat on the bone in the running game when he did take it in the read option. And I agree with that. I mean, what quarterback really wants to be taking hits as he's running towards the outside, towards the boundary, towards the sidelines? Demery's got to be able to turn it upfield instead of a 6-yard gain on the sidelines, turn it upfield and get 8 or 9. Again, you might take that extra shot, but if that's what it's going to take to be the leader and to really grasp control of this offense, that's what it's going to take. And again, while the running game may be better with Demery Croft, the passing game statistically favored Connor Rhoda. So again, this isn't settled by any means, and it should be a lot easier for Minnesota to move the ball in theory this weekend against Oregon State.